The section. Okay, thank you so much once again, and welcome to another learning series, Intelligent Interactive, where what we do really is to bring knowledge and awareness to impact and offer value. You're welcome to today. Happy New Month is the first day in the month of March. For those that are Muslims amongst us, Ramadan Kareem. I know you're the fasting starts today for Muslim faithfuls, and we wish you strength and wish you the best as you continue your fast journey. All right, so very quickly, thank you so much everyone for joining. I'd like to welcome you. Thank you for making our time. Thank you for being part of this learning and sharing session. It's going to be, we've scheduled it to be a 90-minute session at the max. We'll try as much as possible to make it very concise, precise, and at the same time deliver the expected value. On the screen is the outline. We have 3 sections focused on one, career, the other focused on technology and opportunities, and then the third segment is focused on international opportunities, and we have an international speaker in the house. We'll get to meet him in a bit. But before we delve straight into it, please go to the chat box and just put in your name and your location. But we want to add a bit of twist to it. So you're not just going to state your name, but put an adjective that starts with the same letter as the first letter of your name. So we have an example on the screen. If your name is Debo, you can put determined Debo. If you're Esther, energetic Esther. If you're Lara, you can put luscious Lara or luminous Lara. Or if you want to put your full name, Omolara, outstanding Omolara. So please go to the chat box very quickly. Let's have your name with an adjective that has the same first letter as your name, and then your location as well. Thank you. Oh, I love that. Cami Christy, where's your location? You didn't put your location, Christy. Thank you. Valued Valentine. I love that. Oh, that's a beautiful one, Valentine. Nice to meet you. You're welcome. Anyone else you want to just jump into this activity? Let's get to know you. Let's get to know the location you're joining us from. Anyone else? Very quickly. Rotimi, I'm looking forward to seeing your adjective as well as Tunde. Let's see your adjective. Nice one, Dimeji. Determined Dimeji. Dimeji already gave you a clue. Give us another adjective, Joe. You're welcome. Welcome joining us from Lagos. Ambitious. Oh, wow, that's powerful. Thank you so much, Ayomide. Ambitious Ayomide from Lagos. Beautiful. So we have amazing people. Respected. Yes. Rotimi, nice one. That's a beautiful one there. Respected Rotimi. Awesome. Okay. Anyone else? Thank you. Techie. Gracious Taye. I love that. All the way from England. Thank you, sis, for joining us. Thank you. Techie Tunde. Okay. All right. Do we take techie as an adjective? It doesn't describe you, but it's okay. We can take that. All right. So very quickly, let's just move on. But please keep words coming in the adjectives. Okay. Divine. So because I said that we want you to give us a different adjective, different from what we already have in the screen, you now boom. Okay, I like that. Thank you, Dimeji. Thank you. That's so beautiful. Thank you. Okay. All right. So keep them coming whilst we progress into this session. Okay. All right, so very quickly, we'll move to the next activity, which is let's get to know your expectations, right? Before we came up with the topic of this session, myself, Roti, and Tunde, we just sharing thoughts and ideas, and we suggested some topics around what would guide the conversation. Then we did a survey. And we sent it out to different platforms. And the feedback we got was quite interesting. Almost everybody wanted the same topic. So here we are to talk about this topic, but let's get to know your expectations. Very quickly, what are you expecting to get out of today's event, today's learning session? Very quickly, what are your expectations? Let's get to know it. Let's put it in the chat room. Put it in the chat room. Oh, if someone wants to speak, okay. Delicious Dami. Thank you so much, Dami, for sharing that. Thank you. I'm sure Dimeji gave you a hard time because Dimeji has already put out multiple addresses with D. He didn't want to repeat any of that. But that's a brilliant one. You're welcome, Damlela Kisaya. All right. Anyone wants to share their expectations? Maybe one or two people very quickly before we jump straight into today's session. Very quickly, you want to share, you want to speak, or you want to put it in the chat box very quickly because of time. Okay. Do we have anyone? What are your expectations? Or when you saw the topic, well, what came to your mind and what are you looking forward to learning today? Okay. Anyone? Right, Miola from Lagos, you're welcome. Accurate Ajay. Nice. Nice one. You're welcome. Ayomi. Ayomi Bowale. That's a powerful name. Thank you. All right, any expectations anyone wants to share very quickly? Any expectations? Thank you, Meiji Adekoya. Okay, my expectations include learning how to add value to my career, repositioning myself in the facility management and entertainment industry. That is really beautiful. Thank you so much. Moji states learning tools to being better, and you're absolutely correct. I mean, every day our quest should be to be better at who we are on a daily basis. Okay, Christiana, I'm looking forward to learning valuable tools for landing my dream job. Powerful, powerful. Thank you so much. Okay. Kyle, my expectation tonight is career development and potential building. Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Very quickly, let's proceed to the next slide and keep your expectations coming. We'll harvest them, and then at the end of the session, we hope that this learning session would have been able to address and bring value in line with your expectations. So very quickly, I'm going to start with the first section, like I mentioned, where we have 3 sections today, but I'll start with the first section that speaks to career shift. And career shift for me is really important because I believe that wherever you are and you're aiming to go to somewhere, there has to be a shift. There has to be a shift from where your current position is. There has to be a shift from your current state to your potential or to your future state. If we want to progress in our career, we cannot progress from a place of stagnancy at all. We cannot progress from a place of being stuck at one point. We cannot progress from just being idle or just staying at a unilateral position. That's not going to happen. Progress comes from a place of movement, from a place of progress, from a place of shifting, from a place of moving from one point to another. And really, that's why we thought it was really important to start with career shift. If you want to make any form of improvement or any form of progress, then you have to shift from your current state. That current state could be in form of anything. It could be in form of mindset. It could be in form of knowledge. It could be in form of awareness. It could be in form of information. I mean, just one information could bring that breakthrough that you want. And I'm hoping that this section will be able to learn that. A bit about myself. Okay, please can we mute if you're not speaking? A bit about myself. Lara Yeku, I'm an HR professional practicing HR nearly 2 decades now. I'm a certified coach. I'm an author of 2 books. I'm a design thinking trainer and is an executive trainer as well as an executive coach. If I am not at work, I am probably doing what I love to do, which is adding value and living a purposeful life by making positive impact. And I make that through several angles. I'm either writing, I'm blogging, I'm coaching, I'm mentoring. I just want to be able to continue to give value to help people move from that state of wherever they are to discovering purpose so that they can live the best version of themselves. So that's who I am in a nutshell. I always say to people that life offers us a stage. And wherever you find yourself at that moment in that stage, you are your own architect, you are your own designer, you are your own script writer. So regardless of wherever you find yourself, it's a stage, and then you have the ability to perform. So you either come on that stage and you're not doing anything, or you come on that stage and you're giving your best, you're putting in a performance because you own it. I try to encourage people that life is in stages. Like Valentine shared a few minutes ago, he's been home all day, daddy sitting, and that is one part of marriage counseling nobody shares or gives us full insight on. So I mean that's a stage. There's a stage where your baby now becomes a toddler, where you're going to be chasing, you're going to be chasing your baby. I remember whenever I'm in church, in those days when my kids were a lot younger, I never sit. I'm always running about chasing my daughters then when they were toddlers until I moved them to crèche in church and beyond and afterwards. So now they are grown, now they are teenagers, they are questioning me. I'm telling them do this and they are questioning me why should they do it. So life is in stages. So let's embrace whatever stage that you're in with gratitude, with appreciation, and of course with purpose and intentionality. Because life is in stages, we're in different stages of our journey. Your ability to recognize your journey and embrace it is really important and would really help you to make that shift, knowing that this is just a phase. So if you're out of a job now, know that it's just a phase. It's just a stage in your career. Or you're in a job, you're seeking promotion, you want to move to another job, that is also a phase. It's going to happen. Or you are in one location, you want an international job, it's a phase. So your ability to recognize that it's a phase and a stage for you, and the onus lies on you to take responsibility and ensure you perform on that stage. And that's the purpose of this session, where we're going to be sharing tips, ideas with you on how to perform on your stage, regardless of whatever stage that is. But because this conversation is centered around career and work, and like we know, there's been tremendous change to the marketplace. We're going to be hearing a lot about that. Having said that, that change comes in multiple dimensions. One is work. The nature of work is changing, and it's still changing. And now with AI has also infused a lot more around the change in the workplace, right? So the way we work is changing. The skills that we need to do the work is changing. The capabilities we need to do the work is changing. the workforce itself is changing. Now we have 5 generations in the workplace, from baby boomers to millennials and Gen Zs, right, in the workplace. So even the people who do the work, they are changing. And finally, the kind of work, the jobs we do is also changing. Gone are those days where you want to work for one organization, but now people just want to do multiple work for multiple organizations, the gig economy. I mean, you can be in one location and be working for another company in another location. You can be in Nigeria and be working, and then your employer is paying you in dollars, and you're in a Naira-based economy. So a lot of changes is happening in the marketplace. But however, if you can see the middle of this arc, we are the center of that change as individuals, as people. All that is happening impacts us externally, one way or the other. Now, because work is changing, it has an impact on you. That means you need to start skilling up, you need to start looking at other opportunities, you need to start making other decisions. The workforce, you're in the workforce, is no longer just one generation in that workforce, you have multiple generations. So how are you at the core of everything adapting, evolving, so that you get the most of this change? With all that change happening, with you and at the middle, the question is, who is driving you? Because you're looking for a job, does that mean you're just going to leave getting a job to chances? Or it says the job in the latest job that is trending now is VA, virtual assistant. Let me be looking for virtual assistant job. Oh, or the latest job now is HR. I'm looking for an HR job. So who is driving you? Are you leaving your career decision to external forces just to go with the trend? Or you at some point, you are taking full responsibility to first and foremost be clear who you are, right? And getting to know what really works for you as an individual first. I remember many years ago in my career, while I was working at an indigenous HR organization, even though I wanted another job, but I got a banking opportunity. I wasn't quite excited about banking. I needed the money at that time. So I scaled through the entire interview, and I was invited to come pick my offer letter, and I got there and I asked, where am I going to be posted to? Because it wasn't stated on my letter. And what they told me was, until you resume, you will know where you'll be posted to. I said, the letter didn't state the location of the job. Can I please know where I'm going to be posted to? He said, until you resume, sign and resume. When you resume, we will tell you. That was a red flag, because I knew that I cannot work outside of Lagos. I had my career booming in Lagos. I had plans in Lagos. I was going to be getting married. My husband was in Lagos. There's so many things happening. I was Lagos based for me. I couldn't leave that to chances. So your ability to reflect and ask what is driving you is really, really important in making your career shift. And I saw this, and it just really got me thinking. It really got me thinking, and it hits me because a lot of times when we're in that state of our careers, we look so much external. Oh, this is happening, this is not happening. And then we forget the intrinsic element of us, which is our innermost being. So when an egg is broken from outside force, life ends for that egg. Is either it cracks, it breaks, then at that point, there's no life for that egg. However, but when an egg is broken from inside, that is where life begins, where the egg ashes. right? And then the cheek comes out. It's internal. It's self-transformative, all right? That's where great things start from inside. So your career shift starts from inside. It's internal, it's intrinsic. It starts from your beliefs. It starts from what you accept for yourself. I just wanted to encourage someone that your career shift starts from internal. It's that intrinsic force that you hold on to, your anchor that guides and propels you on a journey. And that's where our journey to career transformation starts from internal. And when we say internal, it starts from your identity. Who are you? Beyond your name or beyond your status, social status, or your background, your identity is the core of where your career starts from. Your career identity is not your class of degree for those that are very young and recently graduated from university. It's identifying what you're made up of and what you're capable of doing, and that rests solely on your identity of who you are. I remember there was a young chap that I met about 3-4 years ago, and this chap came almost in depression, and he said, "Ma, I need help." I said, "Okay." He said, "I need a job." "Okay, I need a job." "Okay." And I asked, "What kind of job?" His response was anything. Oh wow. For me, that was a red flag. "Why are you saying anything?" I said, "Ma, I just need to survive." He said, at that point, he was sounding desperate. He was sounding depressed. He's lost meaning and sense of identity. Okay, as I tried to engage him further and I asked, "What can you do?" He said, "Ma, I'm not sure." I said, "Why?" "Because I have a third class." And I said to him, "Your third class does not define you, even though because you think your third class and the way the society has labeled people, a third class as people who are not smart, then you can just settle in for anything." And then people miss it at that point. People miss it. I mean, we've heard stories of people who are drop out from school and they are doing extremely well because they've held on to their belief, they've held on to who they are, and they face life with optimism. So it's really important. A lot of us start the circle of career transformation from outcome. So the outcome is what we want to achieve. I want to get that job. Oh, I want to get that role. I want to achieve this. That's an outcome. The transformation doesn't start from an outcome. It starts inward out. Like I said, the egg that hatches from within, that is where life starts from, and then it blossoms out. Knowing who you are, then the process around your identity of who you are, the steps you're taking, the actions you're taking is invariably what will drive the results and the outcome that you want in your career. So that shift starts first from internal, then moves towards all the activities, the goals, forward-driven activities that would eventually lead you to the outcome. My role in this session is to talk about the inner core, and our other co-facilitators on the call, Tunde and Rotimi, will speak to the process that will enable us to achieve the participants that you want. Okay, thank you so much. Okay, so I have a question here from Miss. Thank you so much for the section. I always have a question for myself. I love helping people. Give me passion, joy, or fulfillment. What can I do with this skill in terms of identity? Great one. Please hold on to that, Mercy. Peter will take your questions at the end, but that's a fantastic question. Okay. So because of time, when we talk about career, a lot of times people think career is their job. Oh, I'm a dentist. Oh, I'm an HR professional. or I'm a designer, I'm a tech guru. Beyond that, career is lifelong because the most active part of our being will be spent working. And then you need to ensure that that work you're doing is meaningful and is purpose driven. A lot of time, that work must move you to progress. That work within that significant point period in your life must give you you must be very deliberate about the choices you're making in your career, because at the end of the day, the future we all aspire for, or the future we hope for, starts now. Today was once the future we had anticipated. So ensuring that on a daily basis you're living with intentionality. Okay. So I always also say that your career is a link bridge in between your purpose and your future. Like Mercy Peter asked, your career is that link bridge. So if you're somebody who enjoys helping people, then in what area? You have to, as much as possible, break it down, make it granular. In what area? So let me share a very quick story. I met a lady 4 or 5 years ago who came to me and said she wanted a career in HR. And I asked her, why HR? Said, I love to help people. I said, what particularly do you love helping people for? So, well, I like recruiting. I told her to go and think, reflect, and come back. She struggled at first, and I think after a while, she came back and when she got her aha moment, and she found that I love to organize things for people. So because I no, so for her is first and foremost, I love people. I love to help people. That's broad. That's vague. Help in what area? Help to do what? But by the time I was probing and asking questions, she realized that the help was in the area of organization, helping people to organize their time, helping people to organize their activities to achieve a result. And her moment was, wow, virtual assistant. Virtual assistant was that career choice that spoke to her purpose of helping people. So, Mercy Peter, if you enjoy helping people, you need to be very specific. You need to break it down to the granular, so you're very clear in building that career. And today she's a virtual assistant and she's doing phenomenal. She's it was through her I learned about VA. I never really know a lot about VA until I met her. And she's doing fantastic today. So identifying that area of purpose and then linking it to problems that you can solve based on your innate abilities will help you, especially to build a meaningful career. Okay. So when we talk about career growth, it rests on certain principles. Your vision. What's your career vision for yourself? What's that long term? What's that long-term goal that you want to achieve? Okay. What's all right? Okay. Thank you so much, Mercy. What's that competence, those skills that you need to build to achieve that goal? Then resilience. So the fact that we all have clarity in what we want to achieve, sometimes tough times will come. There was a time I was out of a job for a couple of months, even though I have a requisite experience. I told people I I typed my redundancy letter, right? My own sack letter. I typed it because the company I was working for had to exit Nigeria, and then the all employees had to leave. It was a tough time, but guess what? In my moments of being out of a job, I learned other things to do to survive at that moment and out of passion. It was during a period where I was out of a job that I wrote my book. It was during the period when I was out of a job that I was training organizations and I was making my money. It was the moment when I was out of a job that I set up my own company. So your moment, that stage that you're in, you need resilience to be able to transform your journey to make it meaningful for you rather than just complete sit every day and you're not making any progress. So you need to reflect a lot of times, sit with yourself, just take away a social media platform, just sit with yourself, have conversations with yourself. Identify and identify areas that would you really need to address. And in the moment of reflection, your connection with God also matters. How well are you grounded on your anchor, which is that spiritual being? I'll skip this because of time, but very quickly, I'll just leave this with us. So when we talk about career shift and creating value in your career, first is your assets. And I dare say that your career assets starts with your identity, your skills, your competencies, your experience, your knowledge, your expertise. What you're really good at, those are your assets. Your asset translates the value you bring, the value in solving problems, the value in bringing solution, the value you bring in transforming outcomes. That at the end of the day is what will lead to your career capital, which is your worth and your value. I was chatting with one of my directors two days ago and at work, and then he said something that really struck me. We were talking about high performance employees. He said, imagine that you sent two employees to a car shop to go and find out a particular car brand. Two employees, same location. One employee came back and said, oh, they have just BMW in that shop. That means that employee has done what you've asked that person to do. Give me the car brand, that's all. But the second person comes back and says, okay, yes, they have the BMW car brand. They have certain number. These are the certain colors. This is the year of the brand, to the availability of the card, functionality of the card, and the additional recommendations. Who will you go for? Of course, the employee will brings back additional information and value, but that can only come from a place of knowledge and awareness. Okay, this is a deep model. Very quickly, because of time, my time is fast spent. The deep model for our career is first and foremost is to define your focus. What is your career focus about? Know your why. What's your career vision? What industry are you interested? Are you interested in tech? Are you interested in international? What's your value quotient in terms of what level of skills and expertise you can bring? Your awareness of yourself. When we talk about identity, is even knowing who you are beyond your name. What are you really good at? What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? Because you're not perfect, right? What's your personality like? Are you introverted? Are you extroverted? Are you outgoing? What works? What are the areas that you do so well? Your capabilities, your abilities. It's more around your internal constructs. Then what career choices can you make that would match your capabilities and attributes? And then finally, your action plans. As much as possible, it's important to plan your career. I think on that note, because of time, I'd like to jump straight to the next section, because when we talk about career in the new world of work that we're in, it's time to reimagine, time to reflect, time to respond, not react, understand the global trends, time to reinvent and re-emerge our career, time to reskill and upskill. Okay, it's time to rethink. It's time to have a new mindset. Time for new demands. There are lots and lots of opportunities out there. Time to reposition yourself. Time to be relevant, and more importantly, time to grow new behaviors in digital enabled world. And that's why it's really important that we are not just fixated on just being local, but rather understand opportunities globally and how we can position ourselves for it. I'll leave us with this quote as I end my section by Oprah Winfrey. This is one of her quotes that inspires me so much. Create the highest, grandest vision possible for your life, because you become what you believe. At the end of the day, your career shift is based on what you believe of yourself, not what the society believes or what societal beliefs or what people say about you, but it's what you accept and what you believe of yourself. Right now, we'll proceed to the next section where we'll have Tunde speak to us on opportunities in tech and how we can identify remote career opportunities. So please give me a few minutes, a few seconds. Let me read out Tunde's profile very quickly. I met Tunde a couple of years ago while I was still at Accenture. We connected. He's someone who's been extremely passionate around growing people, especially in the tech space. Tunde is a forward-thinking cyber innovation consultant. So this is one skill that is very rare. And Tunde, I really do hope you share your career journey, how you transitioned into cybersecurity that you're doing now, just to encourage someone. He's passionate about driving digital transformation changes in any industry with cybersecurity focused layer on it. He has a deep understanding of emerging technologies and threat landscape. He specializes in helping organizations innovate securely, future-proof their digital ecosystems, and stay ahead of evolving cyber risk. His expertise lies in bridging the gap between cutting-edge technology and robust cybersecurity strategies, enabling businesses to harness innovation while maintaining resilience, whether it's implementing AI security solutions, advising on zero trust architectures, or guiding organizations through digital transformation. Tunde is committed to delivering actionable insights and measurable results. Please, with virtual clap, let's welcome Tunde to the virtual podium to have a session today. Thank you. You're mute.
Okay.
Yes.
Good day. Good evening, everybody. I also do not forget I identify some of us that are outside the country. So I will say good day to you as well, to my co-host, who is 9 hours behind us. He's a great guy. You will meet him. Kochi, as I call, Lara Yeku, is a great person. She's got so much power in her, so much energy. Just like she told you, I met her a couple of years ago. It's been some time now, and we've kept it strong. Coincidentally and interestingly, something we're going to be discussing here. Kochi is an HR expert, but guess what? She's always been, at least for the time I knew her, and upwards till where she is now, she's been in the tech environment. That tells us that we have an opportunity to break into tech, irrespective of the fact, irrespective of if you are techie or not. So you have an organization. Guess what? Somebody needs to hire somebody. So Kochi needs to hire somebody, some techie guy that's going to work in the tech department. So that's HR. Basically, just like Kochi had introduced what I was going to be discussing, I want us to know that you should have an open mind to transitioning into tech. So I will just go through some slides that would help us. And, sorry, let me just share this. Hold on, please. Okay. I hope you can see my screen. Kochi?
Yes, I can. Thank you.
Okay. So let me just dive straight into it. Now, this initial, line says unlocking the tech treasure chest, your pathway to higher earnings. So this might scare one or two of us in here, saying, this man is talking about tech. I know nothing about technology. Some even know a little. They didn't study computer science. They know a little and they say, oh, but how do I break in? Okay, so we proceed. And basically, we want to unlock your potential. So, I mean, let's journey all the way to get this potential for yourself. We would explore and leverage technology to boost your earnings and create a fulfilling career. Get ready to dive. Okay, so if you look at this, okay. So the tech industry, right, is vast and has, sorry, hold on, please. I need to, okay, better. It's vast and, ever evolving. A very good example is there was a time we used to use, what's it now? This chat platform before WhatsApp. Can anybody remind me? Coach,
BlackBerry.
BlackBerry, beautiful. So we used to use BlackBerry, and it was like, it was the beginning and the end. And, we would not have anything better. But today, we have gone beyond BlackBerry, Facebook, and blah, 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 WhatsApp, TikTok, all sorts. So as of today, a lot of people would ask themselves that, just like I have mentioned, I am not a techie person. Why am I interested in tech? Now, these following points, helps you to understand why you should delve into tech. You should transit into tech. So, of course, high demand, tech skills are in high demand across industries, lucrative salaries. I'm sure we all know that. Growth opportunities, because in tech, it's all about what can you do, make life easy. I mean, like, we're talking about payments, we're talking about tech. In the payment space, how did you transfers? You do transfers at the comfort of your home. And, so there are a lot of opportunities. So that's tech in the financial environment. And that's why today we're here in fintech. Of course, flexibility, because, you're doing transfer to somebody somewhere in Sokoto or in London, and the person needs money. In 5 minutes, you can get that done. So tech brings about a lot of flexibility, which of course permits that we can work remotely. Some people, just like I said, would say, I know nothing about tech. But you know what? Tech is all about what skills do you have to offer. Just like I said, Kochi said something. We met a couple of years ago. She's power-packed when you're talking HR. People communication, she's apt. So I just mentioned something on communication. Where is your communication skill? You're talking about writing, you're talking about presenting. You need to be a good storyteller. A lot of us are using TikTok and whatever that we're doing now. Are you storytelling properly? Are you able to storytell such that you can engage whoever is either watching or listening to you? So you need to have good storytelling skills, of course. Furthermore, some people say, oh, I did not get certified as a project manager. But do you know what? I want to tell all of us here, first of all women are project managers. How? In their houses. They have to combine all activities in a house, from the food needs to be ready for the kids, to the husband, as well as their workspace and their private space. That is project managing. I mean, you need to organize yourself. You need to, manage time and coordinate a lot of people. So you're coordinating your husband, you're coordinating the kids, the house help. Listen to what Kochi mentioned a few minutes ago while she started. She said our house help has transitioned, has left her. Our house help now has moved on. She's gotten married. So Kochi is left with the house to do all of, the chores herself, manage her husband, food for the kids, and all of the above. Now, again, I would not fail to latch on what Kochi said, because I mean, she speaks very well and she communicates properly. Kochi gave an example of what she was discussing with her director. You send two people to go ask about a particular vehicle, and both of them come back with different, narratives. One just comes and says the car is XYZ amount, and the other one says, oh, it is XYZ amount, but it has some finesse. It's got this, it's got that. When you're on a bad road, it has some stability. You don't feel it inside the car. So that's sales and marketing. So you need to be able to understand the customer, design. As we all know, we go on platforms and apps. I don't know if some of us have played around with Kuda app. Kuda app is so engaging. It seems like you're playing a game. Flutterwave as well. So we need to have that design thinking, graphic design. I remember many years ago, you used to have these graphic designers at business business centers. We just used to call them graphic designers. But guess what? It has been infused with technology. So, hey, what are we talking about? That's where you hear that someone is UI UX designer. Of course, anything we're selling, we need to think about the product to appeal to a lot of people. So, of course, product design. Analytical thinking. Kochi asked a young man that was feeling depressed, you want to walk? What can you do? He said anything. Anything is nothing. What can you do? Tell me you can solve a problem. Tell me you can collate data and use it to analyze with critical thinking. And of course, serve people right. Give back to wherever you're working, as the case might be. So in that part, you need to determine how, you are able to use your skills so that it can apply in any organization. Because we say tech. Yes, tech is holistic. Whilst we say tech, there are so many sides to it. Sorry, is there anybody there? I hope you hear me.
Yes, okay.
Oh, okay. Okay, so going on, we have, the skills in demand. Just like I was saying, some people have bootstrapped their mindset that tech is only those that can code, data scientists, cybersecurity guys, those in cloud computing. A lot of us here, artificial intelligence, we don't even understand how it works. I'm going to tell you something about artificial intelligence, which lets you know that you can actually, exist in that space. Of course, some of us know product management, which we have been hearing a lot. That seems like the easiest place for a non-tech person. However, that is not the case. There are a lot of other roles or other skill sets that can allow you to exist in tech and basically align tech with your skills, and you'll be able to deliver as if you were techie. Kochi said something that it would be nice to talk about how I transitioned into tech. I will give you that so that it can encourage one or two of us that did not study computer science or find themselves within the science environment. Okay, so recall, I said, it's not all techie. There are roles, there are skills that can, of course, get you into the tech space, helps you to work or deliver your job as semi-tech. So if you look at this, we say tech companies need a variety of roles that require coding, that don't require coding. A product manager overseeing product development and strategy. You're talking of a marketer slash sales, and business developer, of course, you have a tech company. So you have Apple. What's Apple doing? They have those that are going to market, they're going to sell the Apple products. The tech guy is building that, smart, interesting phone, slick phone. are just behind the scenes. They don't come to cross-sell to you. So somebody has to sell it. You know, someone has to have relationship with the customers. Now, of course, just like I said, how do you keep, you know, your customers on? You're talking about customer success. You know, you need to ensure that the customers can return over and over again. And, you know, furthermore, as I said, on an initial, Kochi is HR, but, you know, she was in Accenture for a lot of years. You are talking about operations as well. So there has to be an interplay between customers who are external customers and internal customers. So you have to have people in operations to run, you know, the space. So what did I say at the end of this? Research these roles to find one that aligns with your interest. And I'll be speaking to one or two things. I noticed Dimeji mentioned something about event management or something I do not recall. I'll go back to it, how we can align whatever. And that's why I put there, right? Research these roles to find one that aligns with your interest. So Kochi equally mentioned the lady that said she loves people. Eventually, Kochi mentioned that, you know, she aligned with virtual assistant. So you want HR, you love to help people, but okay, you love to help people. You can be a virtual assistant. So we're getting there. Okay, so we're looking at how do we, you know, get into tech. Now, if you look at all of that top right corner of my space there of this presentation, we can see a mix of science, you know, tech, science, and persons and none. So you have marketing, you have prospecting, you have sales, you have software CRM. That's even a reminder, which is something I would like to talk about very soon. You know, so you look for roles like junior product manager, customer support specialist, marketing coordinator, sales development representatives. Now, these are roles that have been fine-tuned to exist in the tech space, despite the fact that they are not techie. I know and I believe that I'm speaking to a lot of you that are not techie. And you have been wondering, some of your colleagues, some of your friends, data scientists and coders, you know, developers are earning in dollars. You know, what do I need to do to equally earn in dollars, work at the comfort of your home, you know, transitioning into tech? Now, because you want to transition into tech, tech has allowed what you call silos, where someone can be in London, in Dubai, in Nigeria. All of these are various silos to get the work done. I mean, a UX designer, UI UX designer doesn't necessarily need to be in front of his colleague to create, you know, the theme of a platform. I like to give examples that we can resonate with. Our, you know, banking platforms, our apps to initiate, you know, payment platforms, so to say. Those themes you see was created by a UX UI designer to help you have a feel, connect with it. Some of us here, LMS, learning management system, you know, platform. You see, whilst you are learning, it's creating a ladder whilst you are able to interact with other people all over the world as if you are playing a game. So it helps learning. All of this technology has been able to strip to barest minimum for all interplays. So you have non-tech can actually step into this space. This is just a little so that you can have an idea. But we'll talk reality space because I like to be realistic when I speak. It's not just all about it's documented on a slide. No, we'll have, you know, real life scenarios to help you understand how you can actually transition into tech. Now, some of what you can see are the resources which you can use to actually step in. A lot of us have been here in Coursera, Udemy, Khan Academy. These are learning platforms. Just like I said, you don't have to be techie to exist in this space now. You know, there are a whole lot of opportunities now. A good one, I would always refer to it for easy understanding. We hear a lot that someone is a virtual assistant. You know, Upworks. There's a platform called Upworks. How are we making use of all of these platforms that, of course, are existing as communities like LinkedIn? How are you using your LinkedIn? Are we actually using it? Now, talking about certifications, there are a lot of certifications that helps you to exist as non-tech. Someone hears cybersecurity and says, oh, it's all techie. Are you aware there's non-tech in cybersecurity? There's JRC specialist, non-tech, right? Guess what? So let me use a very good example for us. If a military team are going for an espionage exercise, you have different teams. You have those that are going to be on the field. Whilst everybody's on the field, you have people taking different areas. Some of us watch a lot of movies. So you hear someone called a sniper. The sniper never gets on the field. It stays at a distance, backing the guys going on the field. Now, the boss of the team didn't go to the field. He's analyzing the movement of what the guys are doing on the field. Recall, there were briefings before they went for that mission. That means that the guy that is some form of administrative guy tells them, oh, this is what they're going to do, this is what intelligence gathering, and it's going to break it down. This is what we're going to do. In 2 minutes, you are going to do this, you are going to do this. So he or she is abreast with military understanding. However, he might not even be able to shoot. Now, that's an example to let you know that you hear tech. Because you hear tech doesn't necessarily mean you cannot exist in tech. There's compliance. So someone needs to be ISO certified in a payment space. You know, that's an example. I'm using this because these are things we can resonate with. I don't want to go to cybersecurity now, but I'll go to it later maybe. But let's look at the banking space. Oh, let's use Flutterwave as a space. So you hear fintech space. And everybody in Flutterwave is not a techie person. Neither do you have those that don't, they are just financial guys. But they have to understand technology to be able to have that interplay with their colleagues and the platform in which, you know, they use to work. This is a very good example of what we're doing now. You want to break into tech. Do you even network? Do you join this kind of platforms to be able to, you know, align with the opportunities that you are not aware of? Some of you say, I can't exist in cybersecurity. Now you are connecting with me. I'm telling you, as a non-tech person, yes, you can exist in that space. And these are things that we can be discussing later, because I will not want to take too much of our time, you know, as we're speaking, because I need to resonate with a real life scenario example so that you can be abreast, challenge yourself, and actually transition into tech, irrespective of whoever you are, tech or not. So attend a lot of webinars, attend programs, you know, coaching does a lot, so you need to get involved. I will not say too much on that. You need to learn. Don't give up. We already mentioned some of them. Freelancing opportunities. Initially, when I mentioned the virtual assistants, I mentioned Upworks. For some of us that do not know, that's a beautiful freelancing space. So someone like Dimeji said something about entertainment or event. How are you able to use technology platforms to exist in that space? I mean, to showcase your strength, to showcase what you love to do. Okay, so you need to interplay with such platforms and be a freelancer. Someone's going to ask that you come manage an event that will happen virtually. So Dimeji can still be a virtual event manager, because, for instance, this is an event, whether you like it or not. So there might be a more robust event, and they don't want to saddle, all of those duties to all of the moderators, but to leave it to someone like Dimeji, who does his thing, in person. Now he can do it virtually. Branding. We need to brand ourselves. Kochi gave herself a sack letter, but that did not stop her. She rebranded herself. That was when she got a personal company to herself. Of course, she's working in a very big company today, but guess what? Whatever it is, everyone knows her, that she understands her onions. So, hey, you want to brand yourself so that you are a go-to. Now, this seems like conclusion because, like I said, I don't want to take too much of our time, but I want to go into a very good real life scenario. I would use 2 real life scenarios for our understanding. So someone says, how did Tunde break into the technology space? Guess what? I didn't study computer science. I didn't study anything that has to do with sciences. I read economics as my first degree. And I've had various certifications. Like I've been saying here that we should, get other certifications for ourselves. Now, if you look at it, I loved to see some form of technology make things simple. WhatsApp made connecting, made information flow quick. So if you look at that, what can you use or what can you do to make life simple? And that was where I came from. I worked in a salad at a point in time. I felt it was too stereotyped for me because I loved to think with my brain and I wasn't doing anything innovative. So someone says, you're not tech. How can you do something innovative? Doing something innovative is making life simple. Creating something that makes life simple. So you have a lot of ladies now, they cook and they are using Instagram to leverage. So they are leveraging technology to push out, their cooking skills, and they are making money. Ordinarily, before, anybody that knew how to cook, the best he or she can do is become the popular, party cook, cook food for a party. That's what it used to be many years ago. But now, a lot of us have leveraged on Instagram, and, we have 1 liter bowls, 2 liter bowls, doing our thing in our private space. So we have leveraged technology. That means that you can innovate. Now, offshoot of what I was talking about, innovation, artificial intelligence. I want to just talk a little about it. I have been in the fintech space for a very long time, and I became a payment specialist. Now, at a point in our life, say about 2010, 2011, there was this buzzword in Nigeria, electronic payments. And I was one of the starters of, enabling electronic payments in Nigeria, and which of course short e-payment. And what do? I actually, innovated to use electronic payment as a means to ensure that salaries can be paid a click away using Nigerian police as an opportunity to make money. In the case of this discussion, Nigerian police is the highest employer of labor in Nigeria as at yesterday, including today, either public sector or private sector. As at that time, trying to create this solution, I had to be on the road for 6 months going around Nigeria to have biometrics and full, data of all policemen as I transited. I enjoyed it. I was a program manager. So of course I had my project managers. I had my supervisors in various states, but I was moving from state to state to meet, what do you call them now? The state police command head. I recall, yes, something like that. I don't recall the nomenclature of that status anymore, but head of police in a state. Okay, so I was moving and staying like 2-3 days in each state, and I moved around 36 states. I ran away from a few states in the north. But guess what? In all of this, doing what I was doing, I was enabling technology to simplify a process. That process at the end of the day was a click from what do you call F department now? I can't remember what it was called, but a unit in the police that was F department. So they were in charge of, it's like saying financial departments, okay, like accounts department, but that's more robust than that. So it was at head office level in Abuja. So a click away, and all the policemen, as at that time, we had plus minus 350,000 policemen at various states together, total. As we transited, some were dying in the course of rendering their duties as policemen. Some were retiring, and some were, just being onboarded as a policeman. So I had to deal with data. As I was gathering the data, of course, with my team, I was equally losing them either from death or retirement or dismissals, as well as getting new ones on board. Eventually, after the data, the biodata exercise, we had robust information of every policeman in Nigeria, and salaries were paid at a click. Now, recall those days, you would do a schedule to the bank and various banks of the entire policemen. So from UBA to GT to First Bank, there were various schedules for all of the various policemen at their various banks. And that used to be the process. We did this. Today, it is easy because you can hear it now. It sounds like, what am I talking about? But we were the starters of doing that. So a click away, the entire policemen will receive their salaries in a second. Unlike those days, one policeman will receive and say, I've not gotten mine. And another says, for the last 2 weeks, I've not gotten mine. But we were able to solve a problem. What did we do? We used technology. Now, we didn't just use technology. I personally innovated. So what have I done? I've been able to use my skill sets, that interest of trying to use technology to simplify our lives. Another real life scenario is what's happening in Lagos State. So we hear a lot of taxes, and now we hear why.
Sorry, can you have to please help us wrap up because of time? Yes, thank you.
Okay, so I'll just, for this, I'm wrapping up now. Using technology to make life simple, I was able to infuse artificial intelligence to help improve the tax net for Lagos State. As of today, Lagos State tax net has increased exponentially, because of that which I added, the layer. And I didn't need to be techie to do that. I was just innovative. And of course, I've transited into cybersecurity. And like I told you all, we can do a whole lot, not necessarily being a techie person. So wrapping up, what do? Be persistent. I need that resilience from you. Remember, Kochi mentioned that in one of our slides. Where's your resilience? You need to leverage on, your strengths and keep pushing your skills. And of course, you can use that to break into tech. Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. That was power packed and very insightful. Thank you.
Rotimi.
Yeah, so please, if you have questions for Tunde, just drop them in the chat box. Because of time, we will not be able to take questions now. We'll go straight to the third speaker right away, and after this session, we would respond to the questions. Okay, yes, please. So very quickly, allow me read the profile of our third facilitator in the house as we move to the third section, which is resumes, global best practices. We can't talk about career, we can't talk about tech opportunities without your resume, which speaks to your brand and then your positioning. So we have our third speaker in the house already, Rotimi Ojo. I call him Roti. Yes. I call him Roti. I met Rotimi Ojo last year. Was it last year? Yes, last year at an event, doing business in Nigeria event. That speaks to the power of networking. He asked a question during one of the sessions, and I really got drawn to his level of intelligence, the international experience and exposure that he brings, and the phenomenal things he's doing. He's going to talk a bit about that. I see a lot of opportunity for young people in Nigerians to learn from Roti, and I'm looking forward to listening once again to Roti. So Rotimi is an experiential learning advisor at the University of British Columbia. He supports MasterCard scholars at UBC build career advancing relationships and secure impactful opportunities in the Canadian workplace. Those of you that wants to go to Canada, here you are. We have the right man with the right connection that can guide you. So please just get ready. His role at UBC builds on Rotimi's experience guiding skilled immigrants on personal brand development, networking, and job search strategies, as well as effective value proposition creation for employers. Rotimi's professional work experience also includes being a talent acquisition partner at IBM Canada, in addition to an early talent sales professional at both IBM and DocuSign. Guys, please, with virtual round of applause, please, let's welcome Rotimi. Roti, good to see you. How are you?
I'm doing good. It's very good to see you too, Coach Lara.
Yeah. Please go ahead.
So to get started, I'll just first off like to thank Coach Lara for bringing both myself and Mr. Tunde together for this event. Coach Lara runs the HR Gem Coaching Network, and as she described, we met at the Doing Business in Nigeria conference last year, April. And so similar to what Coach Lara shared, and same thing as Mr. Tunde about the importance of personal branding and networking, opportunities like these come about from the relationships that you make in the workplace, relationships that you make at networking events. And so throughout this presentation, or this really quick workshop, I would describe it as, we're going to be going over tips to build out your resume. Building out your resume is important because it is one of the tools that you leverage to advocate for yourself in the workplace. So if you're applying to a job at a clean energy startup, or if you're applying for a job in human resources, or if you're applying for a non-technical job in the technology industry, one of the very first things that recruiters and hiring professionals will ask for is your resume. So for the next 20 minutes, I'm going to be reviewing one of my older resumes, and we're going to go over best practices, the things that you should do, the things that you shouldn't do, how you should format your resume for maximum impact. And at the end, we'll have questions so we're able to engage more meaningfully. And so give me 1 second to just quickly share my screen. And also set a timer to make sure that I don't go. Okay, so can everyone see my screen right now?
Yes, I can.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So I'm going to zoom out a bit. I hope it's still readable. And I'm going to walk you through a few key components of your resume that you should pay attention to as you draft it. Well, the very first is, of course, the formatting. Now, typically, folks often ask, do I want to have a one-page resume or do I want to have a two-page resume? My response to that is that it depends on the level of experience that you have. So if you are a mid-career professional with 10 to 15 years of experience, it would likely be pretty challenging to condense that into a one-page resume. But if you are a fresh out of school graduate with maybe 1 to 3 years of experience, it is more accessible to condense the quality of your work experiences into a one-page resume. So you'll see right here that I have a two-page resume. And the way that I've divided it is between my internship experience and my professional full-time work experience. And so if you're someone who's about to graduate and you don't have a lot of work experience, then you likely might only need one professional experience section in which you have both your internship, full-time, project, volunteer work, all under one section. But let's break this down a little bit further. The very first thing that I would like to call your attention to is the professional summary. The professional summary is also sometimes described as an executive summary, and this is your introduction to the employer. This is where you have an opportunity to tell the head of HR at X organization why it is that you're interested in joining their organization. And so moving on to focusing on this professional summary, and this is specifically for my recruitment resume. And the reason I'm sharing that is because the experiences that I'm highlighting, while diverse, for example, including sales roles, are going to be valued differently for an individual that's recruiting me to be a recruiter. And so the title that I have here is Talent Acquisition Partner and Full Cycle Recruiter. And if you're familiar with the world of recruitment, you would understand that there are different pathways within recruitment. You could be a technical recruiter, in which you're recruiting, say, software developers and technical talent. You could be a go-to-market recruiter, in which you're recruiting sales professionals, marketing professionals. You could be an early career recruiter, which is the work that I did at IBM. So working very closely with university campuses across Canada. And so, as you're building and structuring your resume, in addition to a title, which very clearly describes the type of work that you're looking to secure, I would also recommend some sort of subtext that shows the depth or direction of your expertise. So here, if a recruiter is reviewing my resume, they know that I'm a talent acquisition partner, and they know that I'm specifically well-versed in early career, go-to-market, and technical recruitment. If you have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat right away, and then we could get to that towards the end of this workshop. And so now that we've completed the title section, let's look at the professional summary. The professional summary, I will always recommend that you put your best foot forward first. So in terms of do's and don'ts, I've reviewed tons of resumes in which folks share things like, helped this organization deliver actionable results. Well, what are those actionable results? And so the way that you overcome that is by opening with a strong descriptor of your work experience. For example, 3 years of talent acquisition experience spanning these specific industries. That is one of the first things that recruiters will be interested in knowing about your work experience. Now, while I have 3 years of talent acquisition experience, certain roles often require what's considered full cycle recruitment experience. And so I become more specific. 2 years full cycle recruitment experience managing these positions. Right? And so, say you are a software developer that is looking to land a software development role. This might look like full stack software developer, well versed in, and then you list the specific software development tools that you have familiarity in. Right? And so the key message that I'm communicating here is that it is important that you maintain a high degree of specificity as you are updating your resume. Then there's an opportunity for you to share about the transferable skills which you've developed from your scope of work. As a software developer, you're not only working on code, but you're likely working with project managers. You're likely working with product managers. You're likely working with a lead or a principal software developer. You're likely gathering information from the DevOps team and things like that. So in addition to highlighting that you have X amount of years in software development and you're well versed using these specific tools, my next recommendation would be to share about the other skills that you've developed through your software development practice, which are applicable in your role. For example, strong ability to manage relationships with diverse stakeholders, including technical project managers, including product managers, including DevOps teams. And you're sharing that because in the process of recruitment, recruiters are going to be assessing for the core skill set that you possess, meaning the software development tools and languages that you're well versed in addition to the preferred skills that you have, meaning your ability to build relationships across the organization, your ability to manage projects, as Mr. Tunde was mentioning. And that's the way I would go about structuring my professional summary. Now, this second bit, again, because I have a 2-page resume, is a little bit longer, but I'm going to leave it at that for the sake of brevity and also sticking to time. So the next section of your resume that I'm going to highlight is your skills section. And this is a skills section here, which is bolded. There are a few different strategies that you can adopt when you are building out the skills section of your resume. For folks that are technical, just building on the previous example of a software developer looking for a job, you might want to differentiate your skills section into software development languages that you've used, into cloud platforms and technologies that you're familiar with, into project management tools that you have expertise in. And so if there's anyone that's technical in the room, I think that would be pretty familiar to you. But for someone like myself, who's worked primarily in sales and recruitment, I took a different approach to highlighting my skill section in which they're not split up into unique sections. The second approach that you can take is instead of having a skill section, simply bolding or italicizing the core skills as they are mentioned throughout your resume. So for example, instead of having public speaking as a section here, I might instead remove the skill section and bold public speaker here. Right? And so I'm just going to repeat what I just shared. There are 2 ways or 2 common ways for you to describe your skills on your resume. Either having a skill section which stands on its own, and there's different forms that could take. One is in which you're simply describing the scope of skills that you have, and they're not split up into sections. And the other, which is more common with technical talents, is dividing the skills into sections. The second alternative to that involves not having a skill section, but then simply bolding the core skills as they appear throughout your resume. Is that clear? And that's almost a rhetorical question because we'll save Q&A for the end. So let's move into the experiences section. Now, in the experiences section, I'm really going to be walking you through just two simple things within your experiences section. Coach Lara mentioned that there might be individuals that are interested in relocating to Canada, maybe relocating to the UK, maybe relocating to the US. And so what I'm about to share is particularly important for these individuals. This is a job scope statement. A job scope statement is 2 to 3 sentences, which formulates a paragraph and is used to provide additional context to the work experience that you've completed. Say, for example, I were applying to join a company like Amazon. And just for the sake of this example, say IBM weren't a global company, so the recruiters at Amazon did not know what exactly IBM was or were able to contextualize my role at IBM. That is where a job scope statement becomes important. So say, for example, you're working at a clean energy startup in Lagos and you're looking to relocate and enter the sustainability industry in Canada. There is a slim likelihood of the Canadian employers being well versed with your Nigerian employer. And so one of the ways that you're able to overcome that barrier and demonstrate to recruiters that there is transferability and the work experience that you've completed is by having a job scope statement. That job scope statement might say, X clean energy employer does this type of work. These are the clients of X Clean Energy employer. This is the work that I've done for them. And so that is a value of a job scope statement. It is an opportunity for you to introduce recruiters to who your employer is and also to the scope of work that you've completed. And so now looking at the resume that we have on the screen, you might not necessarily know what a talent acquisition partner is or does if you're not in the world of recruitment or human resources. And so the reason I have a job scope statement here is so that if there are individuals that are unfamiliar with the role of a talent acquisition partner, they get an introduction into what talent acquisition partner means within the context of an organization like IBM. And again, I'm just going to rehash, especially for those of you that are looking to relocate. This is important because it gives your international employers, should I say your prospective international employers, insight into the sort of scope of work, business structure, and nature of your role within your international employer, right? The second thing that I'm going to describe as we're thinking about how to communicate the value of the experiences that you've gathered during your professional career is, of course, your experiences section. If you have a pen and a notebook, or if you are taking notes on your phone, I would recommend that you write down these 4 things, which are crucial for you as you're crafting your resume. One is, what did you do? It needs to be very clear to the person reading the specific work task that you were engaged in and how it contributed to the success of the team. So if you're crafting your resume, number 1, what specific work task did you complete? The second is, how did you do it? Were you an individual contributor in which you managed this project from end to end? Going back to the software development example, were you working with a team of 3 software developers, 1 DevOps professional, and then 1 product or project manager, right? And so if the first thing that you're sharing on your resume is what you did, the second thing is sharing how you did it, okay? And then the third is, why did you do it? Many times people share about the task that they've completed, but they don't share about why it's relevant. So for example, you might share, I completed research on the increase in rent prices across Lagos, Nigeria. Okay, that's amazing that you completed that research, but why did you complete that research? Did you complete that research for a national housing agency thinking about how to reduce the price increase in rent? Did you complete that research as a personal project because you were driven by your curiosity into the real estate market? Did you complete that project because you work for a real estate agency that is looking to set up their pricing structure for their properties? And so this third component where you're describing why exactly you did the task that you did is important because it supports employers understand how they can benefit from that experience that you have. The fourth thing that you then want to mention is who was impacted. This is a perfect follow-up to what I just mentioned. If you were doing this research on the increase in rental prices across Lagos for a real estate agency, then you'll be sharing about how this impacted the pricing structure of the real estate agency. If you were doing this for a government agency thinking about an affordability project for housing, you would share you did that for a government agency. Again, why this is important is because the skills required to succeed in a private sector real estate agency is different from the skills required to succeed in a government agency. And so say you were applying for a job at a real estate agency and the recruiter could very clearly see that you had completed research for a real estate agency, they're able to draw that through line of why your work experience is relevant to them as an employer. Or say you were the inverse, you were looking to work for a national housing agency, meaning that you also have work experience managing relationships with different stakeholders, et cetera, et cetera. The recruiter at the housing agency will be able to draw that line. And so how does this look in practice? Let's look into one example. What did I do? I managed 7 to 10 job requisitions each month. Okay. What else did I do? I was responsible for leading recruitment intake meetings, creating inclusive job descriptions, actively sourcing candidates, and nurturing top talent throughout the process. Here, you might be thinking, okay, but you didn't describe how you did it. Well, that's because for the level of an opportunity like this, the how is typically going to be assessed during an interview. So in terms of thinking strategically too about how you're structuring your resume to secure that interview, you need to share information that generates interest from the recruiter about the quality of your work experience and that makes them want to book that first round interview screen with you. Say I were a software developer though, instead of saying developed a accessible library using coding tools, that's where the how would come in. Developed an accessible library using coding tools like R and Python, right? And that's the how to build out an accessible library. Why did you build out an accessible library? To build out an accessible library enabling out-of-school Nigerian youth access learning resources to support their professional development. Does that example clearly show how to describe what you did, how you did it, so any specific tools or methodologies that you used, why you did it, what the impact of the work was, and who the recipient of that work was. And of course, the fourth question is why it's important. And ideally, if you answer 2 to 3 of these questions, you are building out what I would consider to be a robust accomplishment statement. Now, I have about a minute and a half left, so I'm going to go over do's and don'ts relating to your resume. Do's, be incredibly specific. The what, the how, the why, and the who. You worked on a housing project with 3 housing consultants to build out an affordable housing strategy for the city of Lagos. You used Power BI to build out a dashboard that tracked the changes in housing prices across the city. You focused on these specific regions within Lagos and why. That's a robust accomplishment statement. Don't say you worked at an organization and you developed actionable insights. What does actionable insights mean? Right? And when you think about the fact that recruiters come from a different background than the industry that you've gained expertise in, that's where you also get to understand the importance of clearly communicating these skills. Another don't is inconsistent formatting. So the last thing that I'm going to show you on this resume is you can clearly see that the title is in a blue font, and then the professional summary title is in a black font. And then the professional experience section is in a black font, but then when you scroll down, the prior experience section is in a blue font, the education section is in a blue font, the certification and training section is in a blue font. And so these are signs to a recruiter that you haven't done your due diligence in maintaining formatting consistency on your resume, and it doesn't show the degree of professionalism which you would like to show to your target employers. So as a next step, if you are interested in learning more about how to adopt your resume, or rather how to build a resume that is attractive to employers, I would recommend taking a look at this video lesson, which I completed for students at the University of British Columbia on personal branding. The reason I'm sharing this video on personal branding is because it goes into how to describe your experiences on LinkedIn. And describing your experiences on LinkedIn and on your resume are two sides of the same coin. As well, if you would like to connect on LinkedIn, I'm going to drop my LinkedIn in the chat. I will be transparent and share that I've been quite occupied with the work I'm doing with the university. However, I would be open to connecting in more one-on-one capacities in the future to explore coaching and offering any career advancement support that I can. So with that said, thank you all for joining, and I'll pass it back to Coach Lara.
Thank you. Thank you. That was explosive. Short, concise, well articulated, and delivered. Thank you so much. Thank you. Roti, whilst you were speaking, a couple of questions were dropped in the chat as we move to the Q&A because of time. Can you just please respond to those questions? I think
Of course.
is from me. Young graduates who don't have work experience, how do they build out their skills and how do they represent it on their CV?
Yeah, there's a few recommendations that I have for individuals with limited professional experience in the workplace. One is volunteering. Community engagement in the form of volunteering gives you skills with relationship building, it gives you skills with communication, and it shows to recruiters more about who you are as a person. So if you don't have a co-op or an internship experience which you've completed, I would recommend volunteering. The second thing I would recommend is securing student leadership opportunities. Maybe you haven't been a sales intern, or maybe you haven't been a retail banker at a national bank, for example, but maybe you have been the head of the public speakers group at your university, right? So volunteering and student leadership are two really significant ways to develop your skills and then focus on translating that into the skills that you would need in the workplace, which I mentioned, like communication and relationship building. So that is the way I would go about developing your skills if you might not have access to professional workplace experiences.
Awesome.
I see the second question is from Mercy.
Yes, please. Yeah.
I'll give a shout out to Mercy. It's very good to see you here. So why did you do it? Why you did it is speaking to the impact. So I'm going to go back to this example in which I shared about working on research assessing housing prices across Lagos State. If I'm doing research on housing prices across Lagos State, there's a few different sectors of the economy that might benefit from that research. One sector is the real estate industry, and maybe there's a real estate agency that is building out the pricing structure for their properties that are about to go onto the market. Right? Another example is if I'm presenting that research to a government agency that is building out an affordability housing project. And so to answer your question of explaining why you did it, if as a recruiter, I were looking for someone that wanted to join the National Housing Agency, okay, a government organization, understanding that this prospective candidate has experience within the government, that in and of itself is industry aligned experience. And so that is why it's important to share why you did it. If, on the flip side, you were looking to go into the private sector and you were looking to contribute to the pricing structure of this real estate agency's new listings, that's a whole different suite of experience that you would need. And so the why is simply so that your target employers have an understanding of the applicability of the work that you've completed. And I hope that answers your question.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that response. Do we have any other question in the house? Okay, so for people asking if the link will be shared, yes, we have your emails. We would share the link to the emails received and of course also to the job platform as well. Okay. All right. Thanks, Mercy. I think Mercy has confirmed that that's really clear. Any other questions? I have a question for Tunde. Tunde, thank you so much for your session on tech. For people who are currently in professional roles that they enjoy, but seeking to build additional skills in tech, how can they go about this without leaving their core profession, but rather upskilling, adding additional skill to their current professional skills? How can they go about that?
Okay, beautiful question. You've helped some people that did not know how to help themselves out. So let me link it back to you as a professional as well as, role with the beautiful presentation you just gave as an HR person. So you look at someone that is an accountant, for instance, he's been in the bank or she has been in the bank, and the person wants to exist in a tech company with her current tech skills. Very easy. What we're going to look at now is she's been financial. How does she exist in this tech company? We can be looking at possibilities of being in the compliance department. Now, recall in that tech organization, they have to meet up with various ISO, levels, various regulatory
requirements. Yeah.
Yes, for them to churn out whatever they are churning out as a business product or service, as the case might be. Now, because she has been in the financial environment, he or she deals with numbers or deals with a lot of audit matters. That enables that individual to play around compliance. So that means the person is coming into my tech space. In the case of cybersecurity, can come into my space and be a compliance officer, compliance manager, compliance director. I just gave you a case study of someone in a financial entity. However, the same applies in other roles or skills that someone exists in that is not techie. You need to be able to use those skills to see how it aligns with some of the existing departments in an organization. Because of time, I couldn't speak on something. Now, if we remember ServiceNow, now we talk about CRM tools. Everybody as of today, even if you are not a professional in CRM tools, you play with a lot of tech platforms, TikTok, Instagram, Snapchat, a whole lot of stuff. Now, all you have to do is get abreast with those CRM tools, ServiceNow and the likes, and say, okay, get used to these CRM tools, get certified in it, and that's it. You give yourself an opportunity to exist in a technology company. Most tech companies must use CRM tools. So that means that you have leveraged on getting yourself certified and abreast with that particular tool to exist in that space. So transferable skills will just get you into that technology space. Thank you.
Awesome. Well, that was really powerful and very insightful. So what that means is, even though you are in a particular profession, you have opportunity to add on tech skills to take your career to the next level. Thank you so much. Okay, so we have one question, and this will be the last question. I have like 8 years work experience ranging from telecom sector to healthcare and to bank. Presently, I work in the bank as a customer care agent. I also have master's in HR. I want an opportunity to work in HR unit, but no experience yet, except a job shadowing in HR unit, which was cancelled along the way in my organization. Please advise me how I can cross to HR career path and still be relevant in the tech space. Thank you so much for that question. I would make an attempt at it, and if any of our co-facilitators also want to share their thoughts, they can as well. So if you want to transfer from one existing career to another existing career, the first thing is to identify your transferable skills, like we had said. Now, you might not have direct HR experience, but you have transferable skills in customer care that you can leverage on when you move to HR profession. Unfortunately, the job shadowing arrangement that you had with your organization was cancelled. I don't know why, but do not allow that to discourage you. Continue to read up on HR, continue to join HR communities, and continue to look for opportunities to apply for HR roles, leveraging on your transferable skills. So if your experience has been in customer care, what are the skills that you have that is applicable to HR? Stakeholders engagement. It's one key area that can offer you that landing in HR profession. Beyond that, negotiation skills as well, ability, even business communication can also help you. So don't be discouraged. Continue to look for opportunities in HR rather. More importantly, continue to also build HR's transferable skills. If you don't have CIPM, I would encourage you to go take certification on CIPM, so that as you are looking out for the opportunity, you're also equipping and preparing yourself in readiness for HR role. I say to people, there's no job, there's no career you can't transition to. I know someone who's been in procurement for 10, 15 years and got a role as head of HR. I know someone who was a partner in a management consulting firm and got a role as CHRO HR in an organization. So don't be discouraged. Continue to upskill yourself. You have an advantage if you have very strong tech skills. That might also be an entry point for you into HR. Okay. All right. I don't know if there's any other contribution to that.
Okay, just very quickly. In addition to it, someone mentioned something about being in the health sector. Remember, I kept talking about transferable skills. You're in the health sector. My wife works remotely for an American company. For a health American company. She doesn't know anything about health. So what has she done? She's always been in customer service. I recall a lot of years ago when I was telling Kochi to help revamp her CV and help me tailor her as a professional, customer success manager. But guess what? She has used that to transit into health tech, where she has become, a health recruiter and staffing coordinator for a health company in the US. It means that your skills, your skill sets can help you to land a particular job role that just needs that skill to operate at optimal level. So today she calls herself, and on LinkedIn and wherever she is, as a health recruiter. But guess what? She has never done anything in HR. So she wears two caps now. She's in the health sector, and she's by chance an HR personality. Do we see that? Thank you. That's all I have to say for now.
Thank you so much, Tunde, for that contribution, sharing your wife's life experience in response to that. I think on that note, would exactly 10 p.m. here, West African time, and I'm aware that people have to go to church tomorrow. Thank you so much, everyone. We still have 28 people who have stayed back listening to our session. Thank you. I'd like to appreciate all our participants who have stayed till this time. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you for making it engaging. I would also like to appreciate our co-facilitators, Tunde and Rotimi. Thank you so much, team. It was really exciting, sharing this knowledge platform, listening, learning, and of course, making an impact together. Thank you, everyone. Please feel free to reach out to any of the facilitators. The recording would be sent latest by Monday, while if you also want to engage us, you have our contact details on our social media platform. Thank you so much, everyone, and do enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you. Bye-bye.